Okay, we got a bunch of cases here. So, the airplane motor, the small motor, looks like it's going to be alright using the Ultima Evo case. Their 140 case is going to work for the airplane motor pretty easily. So, I'm pretty good with that one. The big problem is that big ass one over there doesn't fit anything. So, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that. How am I going to make this cylinder fit on a Harley case? It's a little bit on the big bore. It's pretty much about as big as a flywheel, so it doesn't fit anything. So, and I really need to have 4 cams because the push rod angles don't line up very well. And the bigger it gets, the more of a problem it becomes. So I had this Sportster case over here, which is a 04 and up rubber mount stuff, which I think this is a 6 and later. It's a boat anchor. So it had some redeeming features I liked about it. Had piston squirters, which help lubricate the pistons, which is always a plus. The big thing is it has inline lifters. They go straight up and down. They don't go at different angles. The earlier 5-speed bike had angles or not. Let me see. Did 5-speed have the angle in them or not? I'm trying to remember. I think they went straight up also, but they had big cuts in the cases and they made them real weak, which I didn't like. This one here is the case they're solid to here. They got piston squirters and the lifters are in line, so they go straight up and down. The airplane motor has straight up and down push rods. It's made to go up and down straight, not be at a V angle like this motor over here is. At a big V angle going up, offset, because the lifter blocks are not straight. So, Sportster motors, see, they're straight, they're in line. See, they're in line, boom. So I like that design. Plus I like having a sump down here where the oil, the crank is not in the oil system. Nice and rusty already. So that's a good design too. This design here, the crank is in the flywheel, so you ever try spinning a crank like that in a big circle inside of water, oil is going to slow you down. Bad design. So I like that about these. Okay, so the Sportster case has some advantages to me. The problem with the Sportster case is that they got this damn filter that's in the way. So these motors here are such big bore motors, you can't do a filter in it. Camera over here higher. This stuff's heavy, so I'm going to have to maneuver things around a little bit. So let's get up here, we can see better. Alright, so you got this big ass motor right here. It's a little bit bigger than this one over here. So if you want to see a reference of how much difference it is, it sticks out a couple inches further this way. This is a little over 3/4 inch bigger bore than that one. So it's not just a little bit bigger, it's a hell of a lot bigger. So there's a little problem there. So we got issues. So my issues is I want to do something different. So we got this case here. And I was going to put a big twin case right here on this side, so I can put the same bike as that motor, so fit in, and then make it all work. There's no way a Sportster transmission is going to hold up to this kind of power, so at least this way I can put a 4-speed, or a 5-speed, or a 6-speed tranny behind it. I might have some strings. So pretty much it'll be a later model 5-speed, which is your 80, standard 80 through, I'll use a later one, 90. 91 to 06, 5-speed tranny. That's the strongest tranny Harley has. The 6-speed trannies Harley's got, they're kind of weak, they break too easy, so I don't like them. So this is the way to go. And I can use a regular primary and make it all work. The problem is you still got a big bore issue of right here. This big ass piece here has to sit right here, and it's got something called an oil, has a generator snout in the way, or an oil filter boss on a newer bike. when you lay this stuff all out, this, you have fitment issues. So, it doesn't lay up very well. This actually is going to have to be way over here. So you see how it's going right through the cover here, which means you'd have to modify the cover, because the cover has this on it, and that's all in the way. The other problem is I want to have an ignition so I can make the bike run. I'm going to use carburetors. I'm not using fuel injection. This case here does not have an ignition. It has a blank cover here. It doesn't have anything inside of here. It's solid. It's made for a crank-fired ignition like a twin cam, where it has a sensor up in the front of the case that reads the crank going around with a bunch of gouges in the case. Don't like that design. So, it might be better, but it ain't better for me. Okay. So this case has some issues with it, plus it's got these big bulky stuff you don't need. That all gets cut off anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but that's going to be a problem. The earlier cases had the same issues, but the lifter angles did not go straight. They're actually angled, and they actually spread further out, so the higher up you got towards, they went like this. Big problem with this motor, because I need to have the valves over here when they belong. She goes like this. So I need the push rods to line up. See, the push rod's coming up here is almost pretty close. It's only slightly overset and goes in. But this would all have to be cut out right through here. So that didn't work very well. Didn't like that. I like the looks of the generator motor, but it's just not flying very well. Now I got to determine what I'm going to do. This one's kind of falling out of the wayside. So I bought some buell motors. So that's what these are. We got buells. Buells have some advantages to me. Besides the studs being in the way. Let's go like that. We'll just mock it up like that. It's going to sit about over there anyway. Case studs are in the way. I haven't pulled out yet. Okay. Put that over there like that. There we go. Perfect. There you go. Okay, so that goes under like that. Now it'd be a little bit more that way, just the studs are in my way, so it'd be at least a ½ inch further that way. But you got some obvious issues that are starting to correct themselves. One has a little daylight over here, so the case is going to have to go straight up. Can't go in like that, but that's a little, it's just welding. Okay, now we got a cover over here. Got it buried behind this other motor. All right, we got too many motors sitting here on the bench. Get rid of this one. There. All right. Buell cam cover. Boom. Okay, so now we have no oil filter problem at all. It's gone. There's a motor mount here that might be in the way, might not be, doesn't matter. Probably won't use it anyway, but you never know. The lifters will go on straight up like they're supposed to. This has a solid pin, so I don't have to worry about that stupid plastic piece of crap thing in here, the retainer. Now S&S does make a steel or aluminum conversion piece, but this one here is a steel pin, so it won't rotate. So it's like a twin cam where it's got a pin that goes in and holds it, and the lifter goes up and down next to the pin. Can't come out. It can't fail. It's foolproof. I like that. So that's nice. It has the ignition cover like a cone one, like a regular Evo shovel head. Same ignition goes right in here. Boom, done. The cams. Here's the cam out of it. It has the drive for the cup. There's the cup right there. So that all fits right in there. So that's easy. The filter's right over here, out of the way, nice and tight, no problem. So that's it. Pump sits right here. So where's the other motor? Had the pump on it. That motor. that pump on it. Ah, come on. Fighting me. Okay, so there's your oil pump right there. Your oil filter hangs down here. All the lines are right there. Boom, done. Simple. Out of the way, tucked in clean. Nice. You don't have that big chunk of crap hanging out in the wind right here that you can't do anything with. You have a hole right here that you put a big ass bolt through here or do something with. But more than likely you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to make something on both sides to support it. Harley has this kind of mount over here, so I can make something like that that would go in the front of this and weld it on, make it work. More likely it'd be something different because, as you can see, the frame would be in the way anyway with this big motor, because the motor mount's right here and the frame's going out like that. Now that would clear, but the bolts would have to be underneath the cylinder, so these bolts would be too close to put them in, I think. You'd have to extend this out further. So you have to cut your frame right here in the middle and move it out a couple inches, which is no big deal. You got to modify the frame anyway. So you got to clear all this motor. So I'm not too much problem with that. So I can put a regular big twin style motor mount on that. Fine. Over here, you still got to cut all this shit off. It's a Sportster. Who cares? It's gone. Okay, back here, you have the same problem with the cylinder. It's going to hang way out here. But at least you got material right here. And look, you got a nice shelf right here to come off of. You bolt that thing right in there like that. Come straight out. Weld the whole case deck in there. And just fill this corner in with a mount. Move the hole over. And that's on there. So this works a lot better. It fixes a lot of problems real quick for what I need. The biggest problem is we got an ignition. We got lifters that line up. And we don't have anything that's in the way on either side. It's going to be a problem. So I like the buell case. The disadvantage of the buell case is I'm not sure. Is there a disadvantage? I know they're cheap. They're not like Sportster cases. They're cheap. I don't know. I think there's a disadvantage. Yeah, works for me. It's got all the stuff I like. It's got good solid retention for lifters, all that. You know, it's just everything about it is better than the Harley. So, and I like the looks of the generous snout better, but you know, I have to get used to it. At least it's not a twin cam with a big square down here. It's close though. See, it's got that twin cam look to it. But oh well, that's how it is. But everything else is pretty good, so I can live with that. Now the other problem on the other side, we're going to still run a big twin case on the other side. So that'll have to go on the other side of the case. So we got another case right here on the floor. So we got other issues we got to deal with. So this one's a bad case, so it's perfect for what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it up anyway. This is going to be my experimental case. Okay, that's going to go on there like that. These deck heights are actually the same between a big twin and a buell, surprisingly. And a Sportster too. Okay, that is stock height right there. I wasn't sure the last video I did, but the deck height is identical. I am still going to have to move the main bearing down 3/8 of an inch or something, so I can use a Harley crank in here. So, because the buell crank I don't think is going to be strong enough. But either way, I don't want a buell bearing. So we're going to run a timken style case over here and do that. The other options, I might go to a twin cam case on this side. That still has the transmission mount on this side. I'm not sure yet. If you go to a transmission, if you have a soft tail style primary here, this has the bolt-on 5-speed tranny behind it. You know, this would be sticking out over here like this. Transmission's way in the back, which would probably help us in clearance because we're going to have the cylinder sticking way out to here. So that'll be something. But I was thinking of if I had a twin cam case, a bad case floating around. So if anybody's got a left side twin cam case, it's junk, I can use it. I'd put that up in here, and I like how the transmission bolts the back of the case on a twin cam. And that makes it a lot stronger. I probably will have to shim it back a couple inches and probably wind up running like a soft tail tranny or primary or a Dynaglide inner primary to make it all work. Because the motor's so much bigger, I have to extend it back. So, but I think I can still use that case to give me a nice good flat bolt pattern. Because this here obviously is not strong enough to support all these pieces on a regular frame like that. You know, this was a strong design, except the tranny is just way too weak. So I don't think there's any way this motor would hang with that kind of power going through it. So one way to find out, just do it, but I don't think it'll work. So, like I said, a Sportster transmission is basically about the same as a 5-speed Evo tranny, so they are very similar. So, but the primary chain's a lot thinner and weaker, and a lot of other stuff going on. The clutch is obviously not going to hold, but so I don't think there's any way a Sportster lower end would ever hang with a big ass motor. But you know, I could always build it like that. You know, this will fit into a frame right now, blast frame or buell frame or any kind of a chopper frame made to take a buell motor. So you could put that all together and see how it will work. You know, there's only one way to find out, to put together and see. But for me, I think I'd rather go this design. But you never know. I might build it up as a buell and just see if it'll take the abuse. You know, if it'll take the abuse, fine. But I don't know. I don't think it will. I'll have to compare transmission teeth and gears and see what the hell difference is. You know, it's hard to tell. But anyway, this is more what I want. Cut the case off, make a pan like this one is, have it come down, you know, and make it work. Then I can bolt it to a big twin. Like I said, I need an M8, or not M8, excuse me, a twincam left case to make it fly. Now I do have a twincam transmission sitting down here on the floor. It's a 6-speed, which I know are weak. There's one sitting down in the back corner, way back there. You see the chrome lid. But I don't think there's any way in the world a 6-speed tranny will ever hang behind a big high horsepower motor. But I do have one to play with and see how long it'll live. Probably not long. So, but like I said, I'd have to play around that and see if I can make that all work or not. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some kind of a custom mount. That's not that, because that's not going to clear the cylinders. Because this cylinder is so big, it's going to be hanging way back over here to be right on top of these bolts. There's no way you can run this mount. So I have to run some kind of a big hole like this, big through bolt mount or something, I don't know. If I had the transmission bolted right against that, that'd take care of that problem, and I can just use the regular big mount in the back to hold the whole package. And that'd be a lot stronger because it's all bolted together. So I'm kind of leaning toward doing that twin cam style transmission design. I just haven't concluded, but I think I like the 4-speed case better. I've been looking for a 99 to 02 case that has a timken bearing, because I'm going to use a timken. So I've kind of been looking for one of those on eBay, but I haven't come up with one yet. So that'd be my ideal case, be a 99 to 02. So, but I don't know, we'll see. These things are all in flux. Keep playing with different pieces. Like I said, I do like this buell design. Seems to be a pretty good design. I like how it's going together on this design here, so it looks good. The problem is I don't like the roller bearing design of the left main bearing that these cases use, so I don't like that part. The other problem is I'm going to have to deal with this being in the wrong place. So what I want to do is I want to take my experimental case over here and move this hole down. Put some material in here, weld it in, move that damn bearing down. And then I want to use, one reason I bought this gear was I wanted to see if this is a 2-piece gear. And I'm pretty sure this is a 2-piece gear, which means this gear presses onto a shaft. See, that's a nice straight cut there. There's probably a mark in there. So I bet you if I put this in a press, this gear will come off. And then I can change it for a big twin gear, which is over here. Right here. Put that gear on there. Alright, interruption, way back.